I signed the service contract, but they only send me 2 or 3 trips within the last 30 days. Welcome back to NEMT Van Talks. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Monica.
And we're the owners of a non-emergency transportation business in California. So let me ask you, have you recently secured a service contract, but you're not getting any trips?
Well, you're not alone.
More and more providers are starting to reach out to us stating, hey, I just secured a service contract with the transportation broker, and I haven't gotten any trips. It's been 30 days. It's been 60 days.
Yes.
So we want to address these concerns. Hopefully we can clear the air. So let's talk about the challenges.
Yeah, because it's true. You know, and that's one of the reasons why we always emphasize too, when you're signing up to work with the brokers, you still need to have a backup plan. Anyway, let's talk about those challenges. Like, what are some things you can put in place to pivot though?
Well, let's talk about the reason, why this is happening. So as you guys know, we offer consultations. We offer a 10-week program, and this is actually a topic that we dive deep into on all of our calls. And especially when there are new providers looking to get into the industry, one of the key things that I always tell people is that market research is so important when you're starting this business. You have to make sure that there is a need for additional transportation providers in your area. That is key. So when I'm having conversations with you all and you guys are saying, hey, I'm not getting any trips, what's going on? I just signed this contract with this transportation broker. My question is, prior to signing this contract with the transportation broker, did you have a discussion with the provider relations manager and ask questions? I know a lot of us, we get very excited when opportunities present themselves, but you can't forget to ask the right questions, because it doesn't make sense for you to get into a partnership if there's no work there.
Right.
So one of the questions should be, how is the trip volume in my area? And 2, what is the level of service that is in high demand in my area, right? Because at that point, you're setting your expectations. Because if the broker says, well, you know what, we can't guarantee you any rides, we just lost a contract or whatever, but we have a couple of rides here and there that we can give to you, then you can set your expectations, right?
But also, even when you are doing that, you also know that before you go into partnership with the broker, you can literally go on their website. We tell you this all the time. Fill out that inquiry page and start that communication, right? You want to start beforehand so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, just like Jasmine just mentioned, right? You want to provide services in this particular area, but you see so many other vehicles on that, within that community, in that area. That area may be overly saturated already. The brokers may not be looking to bring on providers within that area, but it may be another area 20 to 30 minutes away from you where they are looking for transportation providers to come into that area. So like Jasmine mentioned, having that conversation and asking, what is the need within the area, right? What type of services are you all looking for? That way, as a new NEMT provider, you can think about those things based on their feedback and say, okay, then maybe I need to pivot my business. Maybe I need to think about starting my business in another particular area because there is a need, there's a demand, instead of starting with that broker and now you're only going to get 2 or 3 trips because you have so many other providers that you're competing with within that area. So that's a really good point.
And another key thing that I also want to mention is that we're completely okay with the transportation providers working on brokers when you first start
Yes.
out. But also, when you first start out, if you're pursuing a broker contract, that means that you're going to have insurance. And we all know that insurance is one of our highest costs. So if you could communicate with that broker in advance, right, before you sign up for that insurance, before you get into that contract, you know, they should be able to say, well, you know what, we got enough trips. So that's a good indication, like, okay, well, they say they got a good enough trips, and I could get some work that can keep me busy, which means that I can pay my lease on my van. I can pay my insurance, right? You can cover your costs. But if you're talking with the transportation broker and they say, you know what, we can't guarantee anything, yada, 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 then you already know, well, you know what, before I go and purchase this van, or before I go and get this insurance, I know that this broker is not going to guarantee me that many rides, so I need to have at least 2 or 3 more contracts so that I can cover my operational expenses.
And that's the reason why, just that statement alone, that is the reason why market research is so critical, because you have to do the research prior to starting the relationship. You have to do the research, because another key point is, even in doing the research and you know, like, okay, this is one broker that I want to work with, they're holding majority of the contracts at this moment. What if that broker loses the contract? They have a contract, right? There's other brokers within that area that you need to have a relationship with as well. So if one broker loses the contract, well, you're also working with XYZ broker. So now you just need to really focus on that relationship with that other broker as well. So that's why it's so important for you to do market research, because these things happen within the industry. One moment this provider or this broker may be the broker to work with. That could change, right? And so it's
always changing.
Yeah, you need to be knowledgeable about the industry. You need to be knowledgeable about the players within the industry. So if you need to pivot, you can, but you won't know this without doing your market research. And I know you guys hear that term often, all the time. You're like, well, what does that mean? You are doing research about this industry so that you have the skill set, that you have the knowledge, so that you can make the best informed decision, because you've already equipped yourself with the knowledge. And so you have to do the research.
All right, so let's talk about the reason why NEMT providers may see little to no trips. One of the reasons is, going back to market research, there is potentially not enough trip volume in the current city or county that you're operating in. So depending on what type of broker you're working with, it could be a smaller broker, or it could be a larger broker that has too many transportation providers attached to it, so they don't have enough trips to disperse to you all to keep all of you guys busy. So that's why it's always important for you to, like I said, have those conversations to see what the trip volume is prior to you getting in contract with the broker.
Yeah. And then another one is rates, when you're negotiating with the broker as well. You know, you may negotiate one rate, and then there may be someone else that has a lower rate that they weren't able to negotiate with the broker. So if your rates are base rate, just say for wheelchair, $45, but then there's another provider, their base rate is $30 or $25, who do you think they're going to go with? Who do you think they're going to assign the most trips to? Not saying that you won't get any trips, but you may get those trips that they having a challenging time to fulfill, so you're going to get what's left over. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Not to say that you need to lowball yourself, right? But you want to be mindful, like if you've seen a deduction in your trips, then that could be the case as well.
Yeah, because believe it or not, the brokers do look at the rates that they're paying. First they look at the rates, then they look at the area, like who is closest to the client. So that's a good one, because they definitely do play That's a good one, because they definitely do pay close attention to the rates that they're paying providers.
Yeah.
Another thing is level of service. Are you starting with an ambulatory vehicle? Maybe there's more demand for wheelchair service, or maybe there's more demand for gurney services. So once again, that is a conversation that you can have with your provider relations manager. What is the level of service that's in demand?
Yep.
And that's actually a really good question, because if you are looking to get into this industry and you're going to make an investment in purchasing a vehicle, why spend $60,000-$70,000 for a wheelchair van if the demand is for ambulatory, and you can just go buy a $8,000 or $9,000 sedan?
Yep.
So conversations are always key. And I know we keep talking about market research. If you don't know how to conduct market research, we do have a mini course on our website, mjreliabletransportation.com. Definitely go ahead and check it out. It's definitely going to get your mind turning and spinning, and it's really going to help you tap into your creativity when seeking opportunity.
And then the last thing I just want to add too with that is, sometimes just having a simple conversation, right? Maybe you need to just update your information in their system. Maybe you have expanded your service area, but you forgot to communicate that with the broker. They don't know that you have recently expanded your service area. So maybe it's just, you just need to communicate with them. Maybe you need to communicate, hey, you're only giving me 5 trips per day, but I can take on more. But you haven't communicated that to your relationship manager, so they don't know what you're capable of doing. So sometimes it's just simply having a conversation, letting them know that you can, you're ready to increase your trip volume. You can increase your trip volume, but they won't know that if you're not having that conversation. You're just sitting back, allowing those things to happen without speaking up for your business. So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one. Another thing that I could think of that could be preventing you from getting trips is maybe you did 2 or 3 trips and maybe they received some complaints.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you have some complaints. Maybe the client called in and complained about your drivers, or complained about your vehicles, or they were just flat out dissatisfied with your services. That could be one of the factors as well as to why you're not receiving trips. But how can we turn it around? I think what you said about communicating with your provider relations manager is a good way to really inquire about why you're not getting trips, right? Because if I were in your shoes, that would likely be one of the first steps that I take. I would reach out to the provider relations manager and let them know, I just want to inquire about, why I haven't received any trips. I've been partnered with you for 60 days so far. My company has only done 2 trips. Is there a reason why I am not receiving trips? Right? Because it could, like you said, it could be a factor of you haven't updated your service area, or maybe somebody was dissatisfied with your services. Well, if you haven't updated your service area, then that's an opportunity for you to update your service area and make it right, and hopefully you'll start seeing trips. Or if a client was dissatisfied with your services and the provider relations manager tells you that, then that is an opportunity for you to try to make it right, right? So you can make it right, move forward, you guys can move along. Another thing that you could do is maybe there is not enough trip volume in your area. Have that conversation with the provider's relations manager and ask them if you can expand your service area. Just simple expansion may help you increase your trip volume. Or maybe you're providing the wrong level of service. Maybe, hey, the demand is more for gurney transportation. Well, can your van accommodate gurney services? If so, then hey, you need to provide that level of service if that is what's going to bring more money in the door for your business.
So also you want to keep in mind your hours of operation. When are you operating your business? Are you starting at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Well, maybe the brokers need you to start at 6:30 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. to cover those dialysis patients, right? Maybe they need for you to work a little longer so that you can cover hospital discharges. And so maybe that's one of the reasons why you're not getting trips as well. So if you can expand your service hours, maybe you want to think about that as well, expanding your service hours where you can increase your trip volume as well.
Another thing that you want to think about is when the dispatcher is calling your company to try to give you trips, are you available to take those calls, right? Because if you're never available when they call, they're going to just stop calling.
Yep.
So you also want to consider your scheduling process. How easy is it for the broker dispatch team to get in contact with your business to offer rides? So those are just a few things that you need to think about. Hopefully you will get trips soon. But like we always say, you always want to diversify your portfolio.
Yes.
I don't care if you're working with 5 brokers. Just make sure it's not only one, right? Because you want to make sure you have multiple streams of income for your business. We hope this video was helpful for you, and best of luck.
Ciao.